Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV and Mars Magazine on Facebook, and I've got I've got 4 things to show you today. Now, a couple of these are really clear, and the other 2 aren't so clear, and at least 1 or 2 of these are probably optical tricks or optical illusions. Okay, and I'll explain that as I go along. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is this. This was spotted by Martine Graney back in 2014, 8 years ago. I put it up on Mars Magazine here. Here's my clip. Very strange rock with what looks a bit like a head on it here, with a long nose and a mouth and a possible eye here or here. I'm not really sure. This could be an optical illusion, okay? It looks a bit like a Moai. I've called it a Moai, but it may not be. It's heavily eroded and broken, it seems. But it's very, very strange, and when you look at it from further back, it seems to have a bright eye here, a light part to it there. If I use the magnifier, just here. But I actually think the eye is up here. So that's just the way the light's catching it, and it's got a mouth here. Okay, very, very strange. It looks like a Moai, but it may not be. It may, like I said, just be a very strange rock. But on Mars, I've found so many strange carvings and statues and figurines and similar things that when I see these that look so strange, I often think maybe they are actually some kind of modified rock that was made into a head or a figure. Okay, this is Martine's clip from 8 years ago, Defying Gravity, Sol 748. That's her clip there, which is really cool. Okay. So that's years and years ago. I mean, people like myself and Martine and Terry Burnett and Chris from Mars Anomalies and others, Rami Baralan as well, have been doing this since the beginning, since 2012. Okay, that's a long time. That's, you know, and my channel started in 2013 in March, which is nearly 9 years. Okay, so we've been doing this for a really long time. Okay, so we're sort of veterans of this. Anomaly hunting on Mars especially, and Martine is one of the best. I mean, she's got some great finds going over the years, and I've shown some of her stuff before. Okay, so that's really cool. Nice one, Martine there. Just really, really weird, and it may not actually be a Moai or a carving. It's just very strange. But nearby, if we look on the Gigapan, there's the Moai thing there. All right, and when you zoom out of it, you can actually see what looks like a mouth there and an eye here. It's really strange. The Moai thing is down here. We've got this big pile of rocks and what seems to be a structure here, a collapsed structure with ridges on it or steps here. And then we've got this platform that's all kind of broken down and collapsed here, and it's just there, okay? This is completely raw, this Gigapan, not been filtered with any colour or anything like that, okay? Absolutely nothing at all, completely raw. There it is. And even in the raw clip, it's very, very strange. And I estimate it to be about 3 feet, it may be 4, it may be 2, I don't know. It's impossible to say because I don't know how far away the rover was when it took this. It's probably zoomed in quite a long way, I would say. So this could be 3 or 4 feet, or 2 or 3 feet, but it's around that sort of size, okay, in height, and it probably goes into the ground quite a long way, I would have thought, right down into the sand here. There's a sort of weird lump in the ground there, so who knows what's underneath that. But you can see what looks like a long nose there. I'll point this out in more detail in a minute. I'll show you this thing over here. Now, this is not one of my finds either. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure that this weird little figurine here was found by Terry Burnett, another veteran anomaly hunter, Mars anomaly hunter. And we've got this weird object sticking up, which is kind of like I don't know what it is. I have absolutely no idea what that thing is, right? But it's got parts to it inside, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts to it, rectangular parts inside, well, 3 or 4, with an outer kind of casing, and then next to it here we've got a little figurine a small figurine of a humanoid or something in a sitting position on a sort of angled kind of chair-shaped object, which is like a little figurine of a sitting humanoid or person. Okay, this is quite small. I would say that the larger object here is probably about 7 or 8 inches, maybe a bit more, and the smaller object is about half that size, so it's about 4 inches. Okay, quite small, but this may be over a foot tall, I don't know, but it's not very big anyway. It's no bigger than a foot. It's probably near 8 inches, this thing here. Then there was this thing. Now, this is something I just spotted like yesterday, or when I was doing the Gigapan, and it looks like a tank. Now this I think is an optical trick, but it does look a bit like a tank turret or tank with a gun sticking out just there, right? Now if we look with a magnifier, now this is raw, remember, so this hasn't been altered. We've got this squarish object with internal parts there. They've got an outer part here, which looks like rendering on concrete or something. That's all eroded and cracked. There's a part on top there sticking up. And then we have this thicker part sticking out. And then this long thing sticking out. Now, from what I can see here, this longer part here sticking out, which looks a bit like a gun, is actually behind this object. But the effective distance is probably about 50 feet away, maybe 60, maybe 40. So this isn't that big. This is probably a few feet tall, 2 or 3 feet, similar in size to that Moai thing. But we've got something that looks like it's sticking out like a gun there, but I don't think it is. But then down here, we've got this weird thing. Now, it doesn't look very clear, and I was looking at it and I think, that looks really odd, and I can't figure out what it is. Very strange, this thing here. And it's a bit hard to see it because we've got lots of little pebbles and things behind it, obscuring the view. And it's kind of leaning up against this rock, but it seems to be a figure just here. It doesn't make any sense until you see the actual enhanced version, right, which is over here. I'll show these others in a second. I'll zoom into that. Here it is. There's the raw clip there. Now, what you've got to try and do is ignore the rock behind it, is this bit here. Try and ignore that and concentrate on this object in the center here with a point here, which what looks a bit like a head, and a gun-shaped object sticking down here, like a... It's very strange. I'll point this out in more detail in a sec. Here's that, what looks like a tank object. Now the weird thing about this, and I've only just noticed this, is it seems to have 2 eyes or something. It's got like an eye kind of thing there and another one here. I don't know if you can see that. I'll point those out in a minute. But this thing is definitely joined to that. You can see that this head-shaped part is joined to this larger part here. We've got the larger rock there. And then this is kind of joined onto it, right? But we have what seems to be a nose here. All right? There's a nostril there. And a mouth here. And either an eye here, up here, or this lighter object here. It could be an eye. It's there. Very, very strange indeed. Now, this is either just an optical trick and it's just a rock that's damaged heavily and looks very strange and is eroded, or it's actually a rock that was carved into a statue which is heavily eroded or broken and damaged. It's one or the other. Bear in mind, I have found over 100 statues and figurines so far just in Gale Crater. Well over 100. And there's also over 100 what look like remains of people as well, like skulls and mummies and hundreds of objects on the ground I've shown. Probably over 1,000 altogether. I mean, to me, if I was carving something like this, I mean, the eye would go in here and the other eye would go here. Okay? But it's very extreme. It's very Picasso-esque and quite abstract. And this looks like a nostril here and a nose. A very long nose and a mouth here. There's kind of lip detail going on there. But that may all be just an optical trick. Who knows? So that was interesting. The Moai, that was really cool. Let's have a look at the tank. Now the tank is the one I've just found. And you can actually see that it has what seems to be an outer shell or outer layer here. This part. And then this is inside that, okay? We have these parts here. Right? And we've got a part on top here. And I think that's all joined. Now that almost looks like what you would see on a tank, like a copula, commander's copula or hatch area here. Right? Now tanks tend to have either on top here or on the front, they have optics, okay? They also have lights and things like that on them as well, right? And they very often have rangefinders or optics, which look a bit like these. Here, one here, and one here. Right? Now I didn't draw around that one very well. It's actually a bit bigger than that. Now those could either be lights or optics or something like that. And this looks like part of the gun sticking out. Now, does that mean that this is actually a gun, even though it's not straight, it's kind of bent? It's got a kind of snake-like appearance. Blimey. But that, if you look really closely, let's get rid of that. If you look really closely, if I get rid of that as well, move that out of the way, it kind of looks like this is in front of this and this is behind, but I could be wrong. Just because it's the same angle as the sand here is at the same angle as this thing, right? Doesn't mean it's on it, but it kind of looks like it is. But the shadows are really kind of non-existent because of the angle we're at. And the shadows are hidden because we're on a slope. The shadows would be down here, out of view. Now, because of the angle we are and the sloping sand, we cannot see the shadows. If we could see the shadows down below, we'd be able to work out if this was joined or not, but we can't, which makes it harder to interpret. But this is really, really weird. And the more I look at it, the more it looks like a mechanical object. And I'm not saying it is a tank, okay? I'm just saying it resembles that kind of shape. And it seems to have these two round objects, one here and one here on the front, which either could be lights or something else, or optics or something like that. Okay? And this does look a bit like a commander's copula. I may have had a machine gun attached up here. I mean, it's just insane. Very, very strange. And a lot of these rocks, so-called rocks on Mars, you can see that they're different parts, right? And often you have concrete like this where you have inner parts of the concrete and then an outer layer of rendering on it, like part of a building. Because you can clearly see that this part here is a different colour to this inner material here, or this side. So this is different. So this could be armour, it could be concrete, it could be cement. Who knows what that is? This is extremely strange. And the devil is always in the detail with these things, because actually, until I looked at this again just now, I didn't even see those lights or optics, whatever they are, there and there, which look a bit like eyes. Very strange. Let me sharpen those up for you, actually. Let's do that now. Because I think that's an important detail, and that to me says that this is artificial. You can see the lighter parts to it there. There's another one there. If you sharpen round it, you can kind of bring the detail out a little bit, like that. Okay? They look like two eyes, but I don't think they are eyes. So, I mean, this is just insane. What the hell is it? Is it part of a tank? Is it part of some kind of mechanical object? Could be. So that was really cool, that. Interesting thing. Right, so let's look at the other stuff. And you can see all that in the raw clip. So, you know, all I've done is colorize it with a color filter and brighten it. So, you know, you can see all that there in the actual raw clip. You can see those details. So they're all there. So much like that tank object, we have, with this, we have an outer part with what looks like different material on the outside, here, this bit, and we got these inner parts, here, in sections, with a strange wheel-shaped thing there, right? Weird details in here. And then we have what looks like a sitting figurine. It's not the first one that's been found. A few of these have been found in a sitting position, carved out of what looks like the sandstone, or maybe made out of clay or something. And then we have like an arm, another arm. There's a leg and a foot there. There's a foot there. There's the head, nose, eye, and mouth. There. And we got some strange details behind it that come up and seem to join to this thing. Here. On the side of it here, like that. Very strange, and that sort of joins to that. Let's go back a bit and use the magnifier. There we are, there's the little head. You see a little nose, two eyes and a mouth, and a little head there. A weird sort of skinny arm, and what looks like another arm on this side here. And feet down here with a knee there. And then we got this object. You can see the outer part here, which has got a greenish tint to it, right? And then the inner parts, which are more blue inside, and a kind of part on the outside there. It's like a little wheel or something. So, and there's the top, the back. But you can see that this is like an outer render or a skin to it, right? Now, is that made of rock? Probably, but it could be metal. I mean, who knows? And you can see this thing here that looks like a little face there with a nose and an eye. There's the eye. A point. Back to it. Comes down to here. We have an object here which looks like a machine gun, like a submachine gun. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it looks like that, which is behind some of this. Comes down here, right? And we've got this part sticking out here. And there's lots and lots of weird detail in here, right? And what seems to be a spine or something. These look a bit like ribs or bones. I mean, this is probably heavily eroded, so who knows what this represents. I really don't know. And there's parts down here. Okay. But this to me looks like a backbone here. This part. Here. And it's got this weird object. When you get a bit closer, you can actually see that's a nose there. And a face and an eye. Right? You can actually see it comes to there like that. With a perfect sort of right angled part there. Okay? And there's another bit sticking out there, like a handle there. And it comes up to there. And this goes in front of it, like an arm or part of an arm. And this seems to join or go across like that. Right? Very, very strange indeed. So this may have been a sort of figurine or something. This may have been a ladder that's broken. I mean, why would it be attached to a ladder? I don't know. I really have no idea why this would look like that, but I'm just trying to make sense of this, really. It's very, very strange indeed. And this to me looks, there's a point there, like a head, obviously. And this looks like the back. And like I said, we got some very interesting, organic looking parts to it here, which look like bones or some kind of growth or something. Who knows? This could be a fossil, actually. But it's extremely weird. So answers on the postcard with that one. It's it's a lot of complex detail in here. And but if I get rid of all that and just look at the shape of it, look at the details inside it. Look at this thing here. What the hell is it? But that's the overall shape, I think. And you've got to try and ignore this rock behind, which is there and here. Try and ignore that. Really complex. And there's this weird thing here as well. I mean, I don't know what that is, but it's very strange and seems to have a nose here. What the hell's that? This looks like it might be a carving or something, or maybe may represent some kind of animal. I don't know. It's just insane. I do like it when we find what look like mechanical looking objects on Mars, because I found so many figurines and carvings and things and heads. It gets really boring, you know. I get pretty fed up with it. And I've been quite ill recently, and I put my back out back in November really badly. I slipped a disc, and I've only just been able to start walking in the last week or so. And I've been struggling a bit, but I'm on the mend, and it's nice when you find something like this, because I am a bit of a tank freak. But look at those eyes, or lights. One there. Are those optics? Are they lights? What are they? Are they eyes? Very strange, right? And this really does look like a commander's copula. Okay. It reminded me a bit, the actual shape of from a funny angle, it reminded me a bit of a Tiger tank turret. This bit here, not the whole thing, but this bit here. Sol 748. More strange objects on Mars in Sol 748. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon.